What is going on, everybody? In this video, I'm going to be predicting the 2025 college football schedule for the Texas Longhorns. We already did Notre Dame and Ohio State, so feel free to go back and check out those schedule predictions. I'm going to give a brief player breakdown for this Texas team and then go right into their schedule. And this is a Texas team that only returns 45% of their production, 29% of their production on offense, which is 126th in the country. So they hardly return any offensive production. They lost some very good NFL wide receivers and some very good offensive linemen. They lost their top quarterback in Quinn Ewers, and they also lost another one of their top running backs in Jaden Blue. Despite having to completely reload on offense, I still really like this team's chances next season. This is a team that returned CJ Baxter at running back. Quintravion Wiesner is also back. He ran for 1,000 yards last season. So their backfield should be very good, and Arch Manning is a young quarterback with massive potential, a former 5-star. Ryan Wingo has the potential to break out at wide receiver and have a 1,000 plus yard season. But I will admit, they have some young receivers coming up. They have a young tight end and Jordan Washington, who is still unproven. They have some new starting offensive linemen, so the offense is actually a big question mark for me. But I honestly think they could have the best defense in the country returning. This is a defense that returns elite playmakers like Anthony Hill Jr., Trey Moore, Colin Simmons, who was due for a breakout season. Ethan Burke is back. He's a senior. They also picked up Cole Brevard at defensive tackle, and they returned some veterans in the secondary like Michael Taffy and Malik Muhammad. They lost some leaders on defense, but not a lot. This is a defense that returns a lot of production. They are top 45 in the country, and this truly is an elite defense. They had a very good defense last season, and they return all of their top playmakers. This defense is going to be scary. And I really think it's going to come down to which playmakers step up for this Texas team, because there certainly needs to be some young guys that step up. Parker Livingston at wide receiver is a guy to watch out for. Khalil Lockett is another guy. He's a true freshman. But despite some of the questions they have on offense, I still think they're a national title contender. We know we could trust Steve Sarkisian and his offensive systems. He always produces good offenses, and he's one of the best play callers in the nation. This is a Texas team that has been to the semifinals the last 2 seasons. And the last time a team did that, it was Michigan. They won the national title the following season. So yeah, I'm really liking this Texas team. It's not going to be easy in the SEC and having to go through a 12-team playoff. But anyways, let's get into predicting their schedule. And they open the season with a Week 1 matchup on the road at Ohio State. This will probably be the biggest game of the season. Certainly the biggest non-conference game. And I could totally see this game going either way. Both these teams lose a lot of NFL talent and have to reload. And these two teams met in the playoffs last season. Ohio State won a close one. So Texas will be looking for their revenge. Ohio State loses both their coordinators, and they really lose a lot of talent on defense. A lot of the top leaders that were there for many years are gone. And they lost a veteran defensive coordinator in Jim Knowles. That's a very tough loss. They still are going to have a very good defense. Sonny Styles is back. One of the best players in the nation, Caleb Downs, is back. And offensively, when you have the best returning player in the country and Jeremiah Smith, anything is possible. This guy is a freak. Brandon Ennis is a potential breakout receiver, and Carnell Tate is going to be very good. I have no questions with the receiving core. Max Clear is a big pickup at tight end from the portal. This Ohio State team also got CJ Donaldson from West Virginia, so they got some playmakers on offense. I think they could have a better offense than they did last season, honestly. If Julian Saint really gets into his comfort zone at quarterback, that offense could be dangerous. But honestly, in Week 1, that Ohio State offense going up against that Texas defense, I think it's going to be tough for them with a young quarterback like Julian Saint. I trust Arch Manning more because he has had more experience and he's actually played a bit for Texas, definitely last season. And I just really trust that Texas defense and the leaders they return. And I think they're going to be looking for revenge. I think they can upset Ohio State. I'm going to call it an upset because Ohio State does have that game at home and they will likely be a favorite. But I'm going to say Texas can win that game. I trust the defense. So give me Texas to win their opener and move to 1-0. Texas will then play San Jose State at home. And although I am liking the San Jose State team next season, they add some very solid receivers. They won't stand a chance against Texas. Texas is way too talented. San Jose State does return some good pieces. Floyd Chalk is back at running back. Walker Agette is back at quarterback as well. I think they'll be a solid group of 5 team, but like I said, I don't think they stand a chance against Texas. Give me Texas to beat San Jose State and move to 2-0. Texas will then have another easy win. They play UTEP. Although I am liking their head coach, Scotty Walden, he's developing their talent pretty well, and this is a team that is top 10 in the country on offensive return and production. They have some solid weapons coming back at wide receiver in Kenny Odom, Jaden Smith, and Cam Thomas. I think this could be a team that potentially sneaks their way into a bowl game, but regardless, give me Texas to beat UTEP and move to 3-0. Texas has a bye week and then they will play Sam Houston. Sam Houston recently lost their longtime head coach. Casey Keeler leaving that Sam Houston team after a long run was surprising to see. He went to Temple. I do have questions with the Sam Houston team. I think they're going to take a step back. Last season, they had a very good defensive team, but they are 135th on defensive return and production. They only returned 20% of the production. They did get some good pickups out of the portal, especially the running back from Arizona State. But I am going to take Texas to win this game. No questions asked. Give me Texas to move to 4-0. Texas will then get back to playing actual competition the following week. They play Florida on the road. This is a team that a lot of people are high on, even putting them in the playoffs. They return 66% of the production, which is top 20 in the country. They return a young rising star at quarterback in DJ Lagway with massive potential. Last season, we only saw glimpses of what he could be. He didn't even start the full year, but still elevated that team. Although I do like Florida's chances for an upset at home in this game, I think Texas will continue their winning streak. I don't know how much of that momentum Florida will carry over from last season. They did lose a couple of their top wide receivers. The defense is looking good, but I trust Texas's defense more and the talent that Texas team has. I think they're still steps ahead of Florida, so give me Texas to beat Florida and move to 5-0. Texas will then play Oklahoma for a neutral site showdown. I am liking this Oklahoma team a lot more right now than I was earlier in the offseason. The additions that they have made through the portal with John Mateer and Jaden Ott is going to help that offense drastically. I truly do believe that. But how much of a step forward can they take? I don't know if it will be this giant step, because the offensive line still has question marks and they still have some young pieces there. The wide receiver room does return Deion Burks, one of the better receivers returning. He's coming off of injury. But outside of Burks, I really don't think they have a standout wide receiver number 2. Maybe the transfer receiver from Arkansas steps up. But I do still have questions with the offense, and I think Texas is just the way more talented team. Oklahoma loses some good leaders on defense, especially Danny Stutzman. I'm going to say Texas beats Oklahoma and moves to 6-0 on the schedule. Texas will then play Kentucky on the road. And believe it or not, I really like the chances this Kentucky team has to get back to making a bowl game. I don't know if I'm bold enough to predict that, but I think they have some of the pieces necessary. If you look at what they did through the portal and who they have coming back, they returned 60% of the production. That is not bad. David Gusta and Marquise Grace Humphrey were big pickups on the defensive front, but I am really liking this receiving room with guys like J.J. Hester, Troy Stellato, and Fred Ferrier and Jamori Macklin, who should take steps forward, and the big addition of Kendrick Law, who is still waiting for that massive season. He was a former highly coveted recruit. He has experience. He hasn't had that standout season, but he was a good pickup out of the portal. And Dante Dowell was a big pickup at running back, and I honestly think Zach Alzada is very underrated at quarterback. He was a very good quarterback in the FCS. I think we're going to see this offense take a step forward. I'm not sure about the defense, but I am liking this Kentucky team. I don't like them enough to predict them to beat Texas, but this is a team to watch out for. Maybe they have a Vanderbilt type of bounce back, because they were very bad last season. But give me Texas to win this game and move to 7-0. Texas then has another road game at Mississippi State. I am liking some of the talent that Mississippi State has offensively. They have one of the more underrated backfields in the country with Davin Booth and Fluff Bothwell. Blake Shapen is back at quarterback, and they did add some decent weapons through the portal. I still have massive questions with the defense, though. And I think their new head coach just has a lot of work to do defensively. He's known for being an offensive mind. So I like Kentucky's chances of bouncing back in the SEC way more than Mississippi State. Texas is a way more talented team. I think they can beat Mississippi State on the road handily. Give me Texas to win that game and move to 8-0. They then have another game that they'll probably be a huge favorite in. They play Vanderbilt at home. If this was another road game for them, this could be a very tricky game, potentially an upset. But I do trust Texas at home coming off of a couple of road games. I am really liking Vanderbilt. They are top 10 in the country for return in production. I don't think it was just one season and they're done and going back to mediocrity. I think they're going to be a pretty solid team again. When you have a guy like Diego Pavia back at quarterback and a tight end and Eli Stowers, anything is possible. Plus, they add some solid receivers like Trent Hudson and Chance Fitzgerald. Junior Sherrill is back at wide receiver, and they also return Cedric Alexander. They return a bunch of starters on defense, and they added some key additions. This is a bend but do not break defense. They should be really good, but give me Texas comfortably at home to move to 9-0. Following a bye week, Texas will have to go on the road to play Georgia again. This is one of those big tests they haven't been able to overcome, and I don't expect a different story next season. I am actually really liking this Georgia team. I think they could be underrated. A lot of people have backed off of them. They haven't won a natty in a few years. But if you just look at the roster, I think there's potential for a breakout offensively. Noah Thomas was a big pickup at wide receiver, and Zachariah Branch has the potential to be an All-American. They're both two of the top wide receivers from the portal. They also return a lot of offensive production. London Humphreys, Colby Young, and Dylan Bell are all back. Gunnar Stockton will step up at quarterback, and he's got help around him. Oscar Delp is back at tight end. Nate Frazier is a young running back who has breakout potential, and they add a very good running back from Illinois in Josh McCray. The offensive line should be pretty good again. They return some pieces there. And defensively, we know Georgia is always the real deal. KJ Bolden is back, and they have a bunch of juniors and seniors on that defense. I am actually really liking this Georgia team. And I don't think Texas will be able to beat Georgia on the road. Georgia is one of the tougher places to play in the SEC. Texas has had a great season so far being undefeated, but I think they dropped their first game, and I have them moving to 9-1. Texas will then get Arkansas back at home. This should definitely be a win on that schedule. Arkansas should be a solid team. Taylor Green is back at quarterback. They have some solid weapons. Esmail Sese and Omega Blake are good additions. They return a decent amount of production, but they also lost a bunch of players to the portal. I think they'll just be solid, and I think Texas is steps ahead of this team. I trust them to bounce back and win this game at home. Give me Texas to win this game and move to 10-1. And then they get Texas A&M at home. This is a highly anticipated game, in my opinion. This could be a game of two potential playoff contenders. I really do like Mike Elko at head coach. I think he'll take this Texas A&M team to decent heights. They add a very good playmaker in Casey Concepcion at wide receiver. Terry Bussey should be a breakout, and Mario Craver and Jonah Wilson are good additions. They return a lot of production. They're near the top of the SEC. Marcel Reed is back at quarterback, and I think we haven't seen his full ability. I think he's going to go off even more next season. And Le'Veon Moss is back at running back as well as Ruben Owens. They have a good offensive line with 4 guys that are supposed to be senior starting that are coming back. And this is a defense that returns some of their top pieces. I am really liking this Texas A&M team. They add TJ Searchie and Deion Hayes, 2 very good playmakers out of the portal defensively. This is a rivalry game. Anything could happen in these games. And I think the SEC gauntlet's going to be tough. I don't know if Texas can go 11-1 with the schedule next season. They have to play Ohio State and Georgia. They also got a tricky game on the road at Florida. They end their season with Texas A&M, and I think this is a very good team. And I know Texas beat Texas A&M last season, but Texas A&M was pretty competitive. I think Texas A&M will get the best of Texas next season. So I'm going to say they get upset and move to 10-2 on the season. But there you have it. That is my prediction for the 2025 Texas Longhorns schedule. I do think this team is a national title contender, but I don't know how good that offense is going to be. And I could honestly see them taking a couple of losses in conference play. I am trusting this team to make it back to the playoffs and maybe be in the Natty, definitely with what they did the last couple of seasons. But I really think they do have to reload on offense. I actually had them going 11-1 earlier in the offseason. But in the SEC, it's hard to win that many games. I'm going to say they go 10-2. But you guys leave your prediction for the Texas Longhorns down in the comments below. Now let me remind you guys to like the video and also subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you never miss an upload. And if you guys love college football, then you'll love this channel because we upload a ton of college football content and we basically cover everything on this channel. So definitely consider subscribing. And also consider checking out my socials down in the description below. But that is going to do it, guys, and peace out.